We got to talk about what happened Wednesday night in Minneapolis. Now, here's a lowdown. There was a young African-American gentleman who was with his girlfriend, and they got into a confrontation with another gentleman in a mall parking lot. Now, I don't know if the other gentleman was African-American or what have you. And the gentleman with his girlfriend shot this other man, killed him. Then he ran from the scene, was later wanted by the cops, and ended up turning the gun on himself. And guess what happened? BLM and Antifa, they protested. They looted the city, tried to burn it to the ground. And they have some video on Twitter of them ransacking a Saks Fifth Avenue, downtown Minneapolis. Folks, I told you before, and I'll say it again, these people end up turning on their own. And this just goes to show you the absurdity of the BLM Antifa crowd, that they will protest at anything they disagree with. Now, earlier in the week, and there were some video clips about this, they were going into restaurants where white people were eating and demanding that these white people raise their fist in solidarity of Black Lives Matter. Well, I think there's a way to reverse that trend. If somebody from BLM or Antifa goes into a restaurant and demands that you, who are sitting there eating, mind your own business, having dinner with your family, they demand that you raise your fist or hand in solidarity with Black Lives Matter, Antifa, then you say, well, okay, I'll do that under one condition, that you raise your fist or hand first in solidarity for the nearly 3 million white Slavic people who were killed under the Hitler regime, or the 3 million white ethnic Polish people that were killed under the Hitler regime, or for the 1.5 million Irish who were starved to death at gunpoint by the British. So if you want to raise your fist, BLM Antifa, or a hand in solidarity for those white people who were killed under the Hitler regime or under the cruel treatment by the British Crown, then will I raise my fist or my hand to support Black Lives Matter. And one of two things are going to happen. Either they will be in support or they will walk out. And I'm betting on the latter. They'll probably end up walking out. Folks, this can't go on much longer. And in fact, did you see what happened with Don Lemon the other night? He was demanding that these riots stop. And I'll tell you why he's doing that. Because we've got 3 months before an election. And how's this going to look on election eve if you've still got people in the Democrat Party or what have you? They're rioting, looting, burning down the city. It's not going to look too good for the party, is it? So even Don Lemon is seeing the writing on the wall, that this can't last forever. Hey everybody, Voice of the Composer, welcome back to my channel. It is Friday afternoon. How's it going out there? By the way, you like the video or the series, please click that like button, subscribe, hit me up on Instagram at #JasonComposes, or you can leave comments below. And you can also reach me now on Twitter at Voice of the Composer on Twitter. So once again, you can click that like button, subscribe, hit me up on Instagram at #JasonComposes, leave comments below, and now reach me on Twitter, Voice of the Composer on Twitter. Now, we got to talk about what happened in Kenosha, Wisconsin, because that's kind of connected with what's going on in Minneapolis, or what happened Wednesday night in Minneapolis. So this Jacob Blake character, turns out he's a career criminal, and he's got a rap sheet longer than the Nile River. I kid you not. We're talking everything from assault to domestic abuse. He tried to strangle somebody, even brandished a weapon in a bar during a fight. Now, I'm not sure if it was his girlfriend or his ex-girlfriend, or they're separated, they've got 3 kids, what have you. Well, apparently he had a restraining order. He violated that restraining order. She called the cops on him, and he also had an active warrant. That's why the cops are after this guy. It wasn't because he was black. It wasn't because some white supremacists called this in. It's because he was violating the law. BLM, Antifa. And the sad thing here is that BLM and Antifa don't see this. They want to prop these people up who are criminals or what have you. Now, you may have an instance or two where somebody gets shot in an altercation with police and it's unjustifiable. But in all the cases that I've reviewed, all the footage that I've seen, I think that the cops were justified in their actions. Look what happened in Atlanta with the gentleman who tried to take the officer's taser. Now, if somebody takes an officer's taser, they have the ability to use that taser to paralyze that officer. And who's not to say that the person who used that taser on the officer, the suspect, is not going to drive away in a vehicle if they're drinking, They're going to cause a danger to other people. People don't think about that. They just think about the emotion, about the moment. And that's the pitfall of BLM and Antifa. There's no logic there. Of course, we're all for Black Lives Matter. Well, all life matters. White lives matter. Asian lives matter. Hispanic lives matter. Because it's life. We should celebrate life. I celebrate that on this channel all the time. That's why we love bringing to light music by lesser-known composers. That's why we want to preserve our history, our culture, as I've talked about before. Oh, before I forget, go and check my video I just posted about the Julius Grimm Symphony in D minor. It's about a minute and a half long. And I briefly walk you through the score, how it's laid out. And it's a living, breathing example of why we don't want to keep burning everything to the ground, getting rid of everything we find offensive. Because, like I said in a previous video, if somebody had destroyed that piece of music, burned it, we'd have no knowledge that that piece even existed or that Julius Grimm wrote it. So go check out that video. It's called The Case for Julius Grimm. And we need to get that piece performed live here on YouTube because it's a piece of music. Now, the score is 245 pages long. That equates to about 46 minutes worth of music. And the piece itself is a standard symphony divided into 4 movements. But that piece of music deserves to be heard. And there's no known performance by an orchestra anywhere of this piece. Now, I'll give one last shout out to a guy named Bam Capital. Been plugging his channel because he has this meaty file of the Julius Grimm Symphony in D minor. It's the only known, quote-unquote, performance of this piece. But as far as a performance by an actual orchestra, you're not going to find it. So let's rally around and get this piece performed live here on YouTube. And let me know what you think about that in the comments below. So you've got this rioting going on in Kenosha, Wisconsin. And that's turned out to be a dud. Because like I said, this Jacob Blake character's got a criminal career longer than the Nile River. And of course, we can't forget about all those people down along the Gulf Coast. Keep them in our thoughts and our prayers while I'm thinking about it, going through this Cat 4 storm. Oh, by the way, to the global warming crowd out there, this is not the worst storm we've had on record. No. And neither was Hurricane Katrina. In fact, the worst storm season on record goes back to the 1780s. And before that, the worst storm on record was the Great Storm of 1703, which bashed the shores of Great Britain. Now, during the Great Storm of 1703, you had winds so strong that took out part of the roof at Westminster Abbey. Took out part of a lead roof. Imagine that. Now, they used heavy materials back in the day to build things. So those were some strong winds. In fact, toppled 2,000 chimneys. And there was an instance in which one of these chimneys went through the roof, down through the floor, and killed a lord and lady who were sleeping. There were over 700 ships that were heaped together or destroyed. Thousands were killed, including many at sea. Massive flooding. And this storm took place centuries before we had fossil fuels, smartphones, automobiles, airplanes, you name it, all the comforts that we have today. Well, those didn't exist back then. 1703. What does that tell you? Mankind has nothing to do with the weather. Absolutely nothing to do with it. And if that were the case, then we would have been able to stop this Category 4 storm that's bashing the Gulf Coast as we speak. So just my 2 cents on that. So if you liked the video, once again, please click that like button, subscribe, hit me up on Instagram at #JasonComposes, leave comments below. You can now reach me on Twitter at Voice of the Composer at Twitter, and I will catch you next time. This is Voice of the Composer saying peace out. Have a good Friday, everybody. Stay safe, and God bless this great country.